Hello, welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic is about cell phones and mental health, social media and mental health. Now, the article covers a study of about 1,500 individuals that express how emotionally the results are personally after posting on social media, which brings us to considering what is the relationship between social media and an individual to be, especially adolescents. Realistically, anyone, considering malleability of the brain, because one may assess how one may be mature than another, regardless of age, behavior-wise. So how might one's brain development be, considering behavioral connections with how one uses a device? Now, the second article connects, though differently. So I'll be touching on both articles from this point on simultaneously. The second article is touching base with how approaching cell phones differently through media literacy, through creating a parameter which allows for students to earn the right to use a cell phone, may be helpful with ensuring more efficacious efforts through an educational environment. So what comes to the table is of how business progressions may interconnect with educational processes. Of course, education and business are not strangers, so when considering how education is to fulfill educational criteria, this is extremely important to analyze how might individuals benefit from media literacy, though how might the efforts of an educational environment translate beyond an educational environment is what is necessary to attend to. When an individual comes to a space, the space is not the final space. One may consider every space to be a middle ground. Even if one must be at home to sleep, one may consider home a middle ground. So what is one behaviorally developing is to consider when addressing how might one be operating with social media, how might one be operating with a cell phone or any device that allows one to engage with the internet, then how might one learn to engage with parameters of the internet, parameters of a particular device, then re-engage with the presence of which one lives, to re-engage with life aside from what is of the device or the social media parameters. So I think the consideration of a digital driver's license is cool. It's a cool way to engage students with learning about what is actually happening with the device in their hand, depending on the level of media literacy. What might one have to teach so an individual is better aware of parameters of a device, business parameters, of which a business entity might be seeking to benefit from, so as to have more engagement, even considering having an assisting app to note how much time one is spending on a phone, what behaviors one may be partaking with on a phone, through the device. A business entity may have other motives. So when individuals are using a device, when individuals are engaging with the internet, how might one respond? What is the emotional grounding? What is the mental grounding for being able to respond to what one might engage with, as well as what one is engaging with when one is on a device or engaging with the internet? I think the digital driver's license is cool. I think every middle ground needs to tend to what a device might be allowing for. And of course, even without a device, if one is in the middle ground, one must be in a situation of growing one's discernment well. So one is able to engage with different forms of information. So one is able to understand behaviorally what might be happening with usage of whatever engagements one may be partaking of. What might be of life otherwise? There are many questions that may assist with navigating how to better proceed through life with considerations of progressing devices. Not everyone uses the same technology. Not everyone, for example, understands how the plumbing system works. Though having a plumbing system that works is very, very beneficial. It's good to be able to have access to good plumbing, especially when one needs to use what connects with plumbing for one to use. So I think the reality is that individuals do have a tool, a resource, which is readily available, which may assist one with connecting myriad ways, as well as creating, applying what one might want to, engaging with what one might want to, that might not be available otherwise. So I think the device may prove valuable with media literacy, the proper media literacy, and of course more education that really embraces the whole human, more so than just acknowledges the device or the internet. Education that engages with how an individual is to grow well, how an individual is to grow healthily, and how these types of educations, these lessons may translate into society, beyond any device, beyond any technology, between human beings, between infrastructures, beyond infrastructures. All right, we're gonna get into some origami. Today we'll be making an origami sword. I have here a square sheet of paper. So take the square sheet, open it up. Just gonna fold it one time. Next, we're gonna fold it so we have one edge going to the center. Okay, we have one edge going to the center and the other edge meeting at that same center. The next part, we're gonna have to fold in just the point that we get from this edge. We're just gonna take this point here, we're just gonna fold it to the center. And do the same thing the other side. Now we're making an origami sword. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the sheet over, and what we'll notice is that these lines will be our guides. We're gonna fold in the lines into the center. So we're just gonna fold in the lines here to the center. Take the back of the line, see the back of the line? I'm just going to fold it in to the center. Alright. The next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to, right around here, fold in the top portion. So it'll be somewhat sharp here. And just so you know, I'm going to go a little variable in here. So we're going to fold in this top portion here. Okay, just the top portion. Fold it in just a little bit here. Okay. So make your origami as you like. So you can see the blade is forming here. We have this open portion. The next thing we're going to do though is from here, we're going to actually take the back portion here, we're going to fold it up, okay? So this is going to really help with our other folds that are coming next. So we're going to fold it up, and you can actually, to even make it easier, you can actually unfold that prior one. But this step is important. So we're going to fold it up here, back, okay? Fold it up, just like this. Okay, so this will make your next folds a lot easier. And after you fold it up, you just fold it back down, then you're going to just fold it back up again. But this time, you're going to leave, this is your other fold, you're just going to fold up a new fold, right? You can just fold it just enough so it meets where that solid fold is. So you fold that part up, and then you just fold it down, okay? Voila. Now we come to this side, turn it around, and we're just going to fold these corners up. So we're going to look at the little corners. The little corner, fold it up. Fold this little corner up. Okay. Next, we're going to fold in the bottom portion. We'll fold in the bottom portion here. And we'll fold in the other portion. It's like a halfway fold. Okay, we still want to keep that fold in, that initial fold in. If it starts to unfold, just bring it back. We're gonna have that fold right there. Then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this chance to fold in the back portion. Okay, we'll fold in the back portion here to make our handle tighter. But at this point, you do have a blade, a sword, if you will. Okay. Alright. And we can press it in here. So now you can have a big sword like this, like so. So, or you can continue on with the fold. You can fold in here if you like. If you want to add some more dynamics to it, you can fold in here and then just press down here, the center, fold in, and then you have voila. So, all right, this somewhat looks like a rocket as well. So, with that, understand you can make your own variation from the instructions, which you may find in the summary of the YouTube channel. I champion reading physical books. Our next topic is about a physical book. When one reads a physical book, there are many health benefits, and these are long-term health benefits just from reading a physical book. The Concise History of Mongolia is a very small book. The big book is much bigger, though the Concise History of Mongolia covers highlights of Mongolia through generations to independence. And I read the text, finding value in becoming more aware of the culture that I remember living in for over a year and a half, and really enjoying the culture and trying to better understand what other parameters might be socially of the culture. And the book really does highlight more so what is happening, not just with Mongolia, though with the other interconnecting countries. The world is really changing, and to observe the change and to observe the importance of communication all throughout is very fascinating, especially considering the countries that are around Mongolia and how the ratification of law, or even the implementation of a few words, or the lack of communication, not due to a lack of communication, due to a withholding of an action, affects how the country develops. Though the country is very much so distant in time from the end of the book, the progressions to independence, the aughts, if one will, early 2000s, late 2000s, meaning like early 2000s will stay. When I say late 2000s, like 2010, obviously that's still early. The happenings, the progressions up until then are just extremely fascinating. To learn about the formation of the countries of China, of Mongolia, to be able to understand how these formations happen is extremely cool to me, and very, very interesting to learn about the social dynamics, how the country forms socially, and between these other countries that are growing through war times. And of course, I find great surprise in some of the philosophy that is from Mongolia, that is what one familiar with freedom of speech or freedom of religion, how these types of ideas are actually of Mongolian history, and how so many different countries work together to bring independence forward and to have uniting efforts. And I just find the text really fascinating, and it's really just interesting to see how interdependent progress happens to bring about what people may be grateful for in modernity especially. Thank you for joining. I don't know. We can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.